Good day. Welcome to Great White Retro. I'm Gord Fessick. This is my wife's cat, Star. These are my AirPods, aka Borg implants that I'm using as lapel microphones. Hopefully we'll get better audio quality today. And our topic today is this first generation VIC-20 that we got from Mark Buhr from Missouri. He visited VCF Midwest this year and he was asking the Wisconsin Computer Club for assistance on repairing it. I'm hoping to get this thing fixed up and maybe retro-brighted if necessary. Let's get her done. This is a first generation VIC-20 and we can tell it's a first gen VIC-20 because it comes with the 9-volt AC power brick, just like that. It's a very simple step-down transformer. These things hardly ever fail. His machine also came with that typical TV switch box and RF modulator that came with the VIC-20s. No manual, oddly. The plastic that covered the labels has come off a little bit, but it's probably due to come off. I think this is the original factory plastic that was on here. It has the slightly older keyboard. It is still the same typeface as used by the Commodore 64, but the keycaps are a slightly different color. This is a slightly older machine. Maybe even some of the older 64s have these tan style function keys. It's a very high serial number, already up into the 800,000s. Okay, I'm not hearing anything loose in there. We'll do a quick evaluation to see what's going on in here. Like all the original VIC-20s, this just had a basic video, no S-video, no Luma Chroma. Ooh, that's one tough power switch. Okay, oh, we got something. Now let's give it a chance to warm up because the caps on these things could take a while. I think we're getting some sync signal coming out though because the monitor is acknowledging something, but that's it. Okay, well, I think that's all we can do up here. Let's take it downstairs to the bench and see what we're dealing with. This is a working VIC-20 and I'm testing my bench setup off of it here. Oh boy. Oh, get in there. Not bad. See if I got a working joystick to try it on. Well, not bad. Could have been a lot worse. Okay, now that we have a baseline, let's get Mark's VIC-20 in here. And see what it is we're dealing with. Alright, we're at least getting a signal. That tells me that the VIC chip is at least doing something. That suggests that we have a clock at least. Alright. Well, let's start with some basic troubleshooting then. We'll take this thing apart, make sure nothing loose in here, and see what else could possibly be happening. The bread bin VIC-20 is usually pretty easy to take apart, but I uncovered something interesting here. Oh, hello. Some replacement EPROMs in here. Looks like our friend's been in here trying to get this poor thing working. First thing I did was remove all of his chips from his board and I installed them in my working VIC-20 that you saw earlier, just to rule out the obvious. So let's see if we at least get a basic picture right now. Okay, so we know that his socketed parts are good. We can also confirm some of the behaviors that I was seeing earlier. Get our scope probe grounded. All right, it comes out of reset just fine. What I'm doing is checking the signals off of the CPU here just to make sure we're getting a good clock, that the thing comes out of reset correctly, and that there's activity on the address and data lines. His machine behaved where it would put out information on the address lines for a couple seconds and then stop, or would continue to send out information, but I'd still get a black screen, or sometimes it would stop responding after only a fraction of a second. At least I'm making sure that my machine still behaves normally. Check some of these other signals while we're here. So we know all of his socketed parts are good. If nothing else, I could put all these in a working board and we'll have a working system. So when Mark's board did have some signals on the address bus and stuff, it looked the same, but I would still get a black screen. I even tried measuring signals all the way out to the RAM and ROMs, and I couldn't see a difference when it did produce signal, but often it would just come out of reset and then stop talking to the bus. There were other problems too, like he had disk capacitors where I would normally find axial lead caps, and there's this busted joystick port as well. This is my little collection of VIC-20s. They're all in varying condition except for this one here, which came out of an old house up in northern Wisconsin, just northeast of Eau Claire. I have a whole other story I have to tell about my visits to that place. It is pretty disgusting. But I have a suspicion that this board here is still working. These are all the original parts. And if nothing else, if I can get this board working, I'll have a working board to put in Mark's machine. But I'm going to put all of these in the dishwasher, including these awfully disgusting keyboard frames. I've already gone to the trouble of removing all the keys. Preparing the dishwasher here, I've got all that set up in there. I've already removed all the key plungers and keys and screws. Right? I've made sure that his machine's easily identifiable here, and I'm doing some rearranging so that we can get the best result running these all in the dishwasher. So a total of 4 VIC-20s all run in the dish cycle here. I do not use the heat dry though. I make sure that's turned off. In fact, before the drying cycle even starts, I stop the machine so I can let these things drip dry. And also those circuit boards, I don't want to treat with any heat in there either. I want to soak those in isopropyl alcohol so that I displace all of the water inside there. But all of these boards and all these frames, especially the one from the house in the middle of nowhere, they came out a lot cleaner. There we go, a spray bottle of 99% IPA. I get all that water displaced if I can, and then I set these things out to dry. The boards that did work before doing this process still worked. And the board that I got from the house in the middle of nowhere also worked. So we have that. While the dishwasher was going, I was soaking these keys in dish soap, and now that they've had a chance to soak, I can wipe them all off and rinse them and wipe them off again, just to make sure all of the gunk or mold or spores or whatever might be hiding in these keys is off of there. Now, this is Mark's board. I'm going to put some heatsink compound on the voltage rectifier there and put the heatsink back on there. So, and then I'll check the voltages to make sure that we're still getting +5 and +12 volts where we're supposed to. Okay, first things first, we'll check 5 volts and ground on the cassette, make sure we're not getting any shorts, and we're not. Got a significant load there too. Okay, good. I guess next we can apply power and see if we actually get anything. Isn't it supposed to light up even though there's no chips in here? We're getting 5 volts across. Okay, all right, so we've got 5 volts at least. We'll start with that. Get some ground on here. I'm probably not going to actually see a clock because I think I need the VIC chip for that. However, 38 and 39 on the VIC chip. Let's see if we actually get 14 megahertz off of here. But also we can check to make sure that the 555 timer is still working, that we're coming out of reset. Okay, we are letting reset go. That's good. I'm probably not going to be able to see the clock on here, but let's see if we get anything. Oh, we got something. I'm pretty sure it isn't really 2 megahertz, but I suppose taking a look at that flip-flop, yeah, I can see it dividing it right down. That's right, because the RAM runs at 2 megahertz, doesn't it? Okay, right. 39 is good and 38 is good. Okay, so we've got a reset and we've got a clock. And we got 5 volts and no shorts. Okay, let's populate the chips on here and see what happens. We'll see if we come out of reset first. Okay, we come out of reset. How's our clock? We've got 1 megahertz, good. Do we have any activity on the address lines? We do not. No. Oh, we got some life now. All right, let's see if it lasts. Okay, we're at least where we were before all of this. And my understanding is we don't need the VIA chips to get basic. Let's see if that's the case. Well, all right, so we're pretty much where we were. So we're no worse for wear. We can try a cartridge. Okay. Okay, well, I'm not going to fight this too much. I'll go to one of the other boards next. Let's get this guy fired up. So I am just going to give Mark one of my spare boards. This one also went through the washing machine, so it is nice and clean. It's got an intact joystick port, and I'm just going to quickly adjust the video on here. And what I've got in the background is I've got Open Hand Tech, and I've got probes on the VIC chip and on the video out. I'm just going to make sure that the video output is where it's supposed to be. It should be at, or maybe just above, 1 volt peak to peak. The channel 2 line is the 1 volt peak to peak. bring that down to the base there, and then adjust the other one. Okay. That way my DC bias is near 0 if I can help it. That's about as far as I can go. Right, let's just up the brightness on here. Fire up my penultimate cartridge. Give this a proper test. Avenger, aka Space Invaders, is pretty good for this. Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's give this a proper shot. You'd think I know how to play Space Invaders. We can give this a thorough test. I tried using the dead test mode on here, but the other board just would not respond. On the Penultimate Plus cartridge, I can hold down the reset button for more than 10 seconds, power it on, and then I can at least run the dead test, but it wouldn't give me any video output at all. Like, nothing. I spoke with Mark Buhr before doing this, and I'm just going to give him this board. He agreed to just take another board as long as I transplanted all of his parts onto this board. Well, we do have his replacement ROMs here. We have his VIA chips, we have his processor, and his VIC chip. So we at least have that. Heatsink is doing its job. Video is doing its job. In case you're wondering why it says RAM 0 and then 4, 5, 6, and 7, these are the first 8K of address space, and the VIC-20's main RAM actually starts at address 0400 in hex. There's still some zero page, there has to be zero page and stack for a 6502 CPU to work, but the RAM starts there for some reason. You can put RAM in the lower 3K, that's what the 3K plus Super Expander is good for, so you can have a total of 8K, although it ends up happening that 6K is available for basic, which still is pretty good. Alright, looks like everything is okay. Alright, so let's get his machine back together. Okay. So with Mark's replacement board, I'm going to add heat sinks to all of his original chips. These are the same heat sinks that I used on the little 16 chips. And they're holding up okay. There we go. I'm going to use his original RF shield and plastic separator here. His was a much newer board that had the more modern RF shield. The older ones just had some kind of a metal-lined cardboard only covering the left-hand portion of the board. So I'm taking the time to make sure this all fits. The ports on the back extended their leads quite a bit out, so the RF shield wouldn't sit completely flat, but that's okay. I'll give it a quick test to make sure that I didn't short anything out. Alright, and it does boot to basic. I'll put the other RF cover on the video section.
Next, I put his replacement keyboard back onto the case there. This was not the same keyboard he had, but all three of the keyboards that went through the dishwasher had the same plunger and key type. This one here just had a slightly different PCB for the keyboard itself. I'm sure he won't mind. There's this power LED which gives me so much trouble. I use my pliers, which has a little divot to be able to cut wires. I cradle the LED in that space, and then I can push down. Yeah, see that space there? I can rest the LED shell around that, and then I can press down from the other side to get that to fit. Next, let's put his board in there, but oops, I forgot the side panel for the power and the switch and the joystick port. Let's get that in there. Now I can put the whole board and RF shield in there. One trick to avoid stripping these screws is to turn to the left until you hear a click, and then you tighten it. Next, I'm powering this on to make sure that all the keys of the keyboard work. And they seem to be just fine. Now I can close this up and fasten it. And there you go. Finally, a fully working VIC-20, if not original. Let's give this a proper shakedown with a whole 35K RAM expansion and playing another one of my favorite games for this platform. If for no other reason than to show off what the VIC-20 really can do. While I wasn't successful getting Mark's VIC-20 working completely originally, I was able to give him a working system, and this is not the end for me. I've got some ideas on how to fix up Mark's original board here, but in the meantime, he sent me a photo of him using his VIC-20 with the replacement board, and it seemed to be working just fine with his Penultimate 2 cartridge. I was hoping to get some diagnostic tools for this machine, but they're being held up in transit. They've been sitting in a warehouse in Pembina, North Dakota, according to United Parcel Service, for more than 35 days. And this is getting a little ridiculous. So the Italian post office won't send parcels to the United States, so I had an eBay vendor send a parcel to my address outside of Winnipeg, after which my father had forwarded a package down here via UPS. Well, that package has been sitting there since more than last month, and it's embarrassing, and UPS has yet to provide me with an explanation after multiple phone calls to their service. I have no idea what to do next, and I don't even know if it has anything to do with the current political nonsense out there. This, however, is not the end of trying to get this particular VIC-20 board working. On behalf of Great White Retro and Zerko Enterprises, thanks so much for everyone's patience this year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I hope to see you at the Shawano Indoor Flea Market starting on January 3rd. Until then, good day.